Part 66. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 669. In the chaotic star sea, the central star field, and the empty space of the universe, a silver stream of light is moving forward rapidly, leaving a long trail behind it. Suddenly, this silver stream of light that went straight forward suddenly changed direction, drawing an arc in the universe and flying towards a planetary system along the way. This stream of light is Binghua, who is traveling at faster than light speed. Since arriving in the central star field of the Chaos Star Sea, Binghua has encountered either uninhabited planets or planetary systems that have been destroyed due to war. Just now, Binghua sensed a familiar energy wave. According to the matching result of the wave type in the database, it was the purifying beam of the Eternal Ascender. So Binghua turned around without any hesitation and rushed towards the planetary system that emitted energy fluctuations, because as long as there are eternal sublimators, there will be war. It was either a purification operation to kill the chaos virus or a conquest operation to force other civilizations to carry out mechanical ascension. Therefore, Binghua did not have a good impression of the eternal ascended ones. Soon, as it got closer to the location where the energy fluctuations came from, a dazzling star first entered Binghua's field of vision, followed by several planets of different sizes. But Binghua soon discovered that his scan was blocked by a very special force field when he encountered an emerald green planet. In the outer orbit of this planet, the conspicuous silver-gray color of the Purifier flagship, the metal outer armor, is extremely eye-catching. The turquoise crystals that grow from the soil are like rocks that can be seen everywhere on other planets. They are found in the mountains, rivers, lakes, and oceans of this planet. In addition, this special crystal emits weak fluorescence, causing the entire planet to appear to be emitting emerald green light when viewed from the universe, which is extremely beautiful. However, there are several smoke rising on this beautiful planet at this moment. Several Annihilator warships are parked in the atmosphere, releasing densely packed Eliminator fighters to carry out carpet bombing on the ground. But the strange thing is that the sky is covered with dark clouds, lightning, and thunder, which has caused great interference to the combat troops of the Eternal Ascended Ones. On the ground, there is a group of intelligent beings called the Elanki, who are tall and thin, with slender limbs, white skin, hair, and a pair of slightly protruding big eyes. In their hands are various weapons polished from green crystals, and the clothes they wear are very primitive, but their combat effectiveness is not weak. Because the mechanical army of the Eternal Ascended Ones was restricted by these primitive beings and could not expand, the Eliminator mechanical warriors held standard weapons and fired at the charging indigenous Elanki people, but the bullets failed to penetrate the bodies of the Elanki people. Before the bullets hit them, a layer of almost transparent force field blocked all the bullets. Of course, the strength of this force field also had an upper limit, and from time to time, Elanki people would be shot into pieces. For our home. Drive away these invaders. The leader of the Elanki people roared loudly, and then he slashed down with the crystal sword with a shimmering light in his hand, cutting a gap in the chest of an Eliminator mechanical warrior who was shooting with a gun. The unknown energy continued to erode the outer armor of the Eliminator mechanical warrior at the wound. Before it could kill the Elanki in front of it, a crystal spear penetrated the Eliminator mechanical warrior from the side. The battle was extremely fierce, and the Elanki held the geographical advantage, but the charge team was still reduced by more than half, while the mechanical army of the Eternal Ascended showed no signs of decreasing. In the blue light projected from the Annihilator battleship in the sky, organized mechanical warriors were constantly stepping out. In addition to the tragic ground scene, the native creatures on the Aran base were also attacked indiscriminately by the Eternal Sublimators. All this is because everything on the Aran base can be linked to an extremely huge consciousness. In order to prevent their children from being exterminated by this group of metal-clad extraterrestrial visitors, this huge consciousness on the planet Elian is interfering with the celestial phenomena on the planet and creating obstacles for the eternal ascendants. As a result, everything on Elian became the enemy of the eternal ascended, including beasts, weather, Ilonki people and even the planet itself. Compared to the ignorant Ilonji people on the surface, the conscious body of Ilonji planet is a bit desperate, because she can clearly feel the huge metal creations outside the atmosphere, and only dispatched a few of the smallest ones to beat her children. There is no way to fight back. If those larger metal crafts also join the battle, would he and his children still have a chance of winning? At this time, the consciousness of Ilongji felt that a new existence had entered its perception circle. Her sense of existence was so powerful that it was as dazzling as the star in the center of Ilongji's planetary system. The Purifier flagship parked outside the Ilongji star naturally also detected the energy source approaching at extremely fast speeds. The purification light cannons on the ship adjusted their muzzles one after another and began to store energy for a short time, and then a series of blazing white purification beams approached at extremely fast speeds. The energy source bombards away. But the silver stream of light did not dodge, but directly smashed the incoming purification beam into energy fragments, and then directly hit the energy shield of the purification flagship with unabated force, exploding with dazzling energy. Torrent of energy. After a moment, the silver stream of light passed through the shield of the Purifier flagship and sank into the interior of the ship. Then bursts of fire began to emerge from the inside of the Purifier flagship. Seeing that the purification mothership of the fleet was destroyed, the other Purifier battleships parked nearby began to scatter around. However, the silver stream of light that penetrated the Purifier flagship finally dispersed at this moment, and Binghua's figure suddenly appeared from it. Binghua looked around and saw the several Annihilator warships that wanted to distance themselves from him. He stretched out his hand and held it in vain. The 7 Killing King sword appeared, and the flame bombing completed the calculation in the blink of an eye. Red scorching energy enveloped the edge of Wang Jian's sword, and Binghua continuously swung out several giant sword energy slashes containing the energy of the flame bombardment. Several Annihilator warships that were originally preparing to distance themselves, launch Eliminator fighters and conduct concentrated fire bombings, quickly adjusted their attacks after detecting the huge energy in the incoming giant sword energy that was enough to penetrate their shields. Attack Binghua's sword energy from an angle. But the sword energy showed no sign of being detonated, and the force field that maintained the energy form could not be destroyed by just a few purification beams. If the sword energy emitted by an ordinary angel is successfully intercepted by the Annihilator warship, Binghua, as an angel who is extremely proficient in flame slashing, has already optimized his flame slashing energy formula countless times. It was much larger than what an ordinary angel could cut. After those several Annihilator warships were cut in half, Binghua focused on the nearby Iranji planet and immediately discovered its special characteristics. An unknown force field enveloped the entire planet, and this force field gave Binghua a very strange feeling. The consciousness of Ilong Jixing is also very troubled at this moment, because she cannot communicate with this mysterious and powerful being, and her own consciousness cannot connect to her at all. She was annihilated by the energy radiation inadvertently emitted by this mysterious being before she even got close. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 670. In the Ilonki atmosphere, the Eliminator station aircraft that were constantly bombing the Ilonki and native beasts on the ground suddenly turned around and rushed towards the sky. The Annihilator warship that dropped ground troops also retracted its drop channel. The nozzles on the tail and the surface of the ship sprayed out dazzling flames, and the bow of the ship raised toward the sky above. Then the large and small cannon muzzles on the ship were aimed in one direction and fired simultaneously, and the beams of light shot toward the lightning thundering sky. Binghua, who was swooping down from high in the sky, flexibly dodged left and right in the air, easily dodging the blazing energy beams. At the same time, Binghua also launched his own counterattack. A long sword with a simple shape ejected from the wormhole, turning into a stream of silver light and bombarding the shield of the Annihilator battleship, making a deafening explosion. These simple-looking long swords are the earliest Tai alloy swords produced by Binghua in batches. They are the lowest-ranking weapons in Binghua's arsenal and have always been used by Binghua as consumables. It's the same thing now. The Tai alloy swords bombarded the Annihilator's shield with terrifying kinetic energy, and some of them directly disintegrated into pieces due to the huge reaction force. And this also caused the Annihilator warship's shield to fluctuate continuously, and eventually it was overwhelmed and directly shattered. At this moment, the swooping ice flower condensed and formed silver metal blades around it from virtual to solid, and then suddenly began to proliferate and expand. The mass energy conversion combined with the living metal armor on Binghua's body exerted the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2, and several ship-cutting knives with a length of dozens of meters were chopped down in the air. The several hundred-meter-long Annihilator battleship was like a cucumber on a cutting board, split into several sections, sparks of electric sparks erupted from the fractures, and it fell to the ground. The LNG people on the ground were stunned. The enemy's mountain-like floating fortress was simply destroyed. What happened after that was very simple. Binghua traveled to several places on Alien Star in more than 10 minutes, shooting down the remaining battleships of the Eternal Ascended Ones one after another. After all dangers were eliminated, Binghua folded the white wings behind her and landed slowly in front of a group of LNG people who looked at her as if they were gods. At this moment, Binghua was wearing a gorgeous silver metal battle armor that covered his whole body and was decorated with complicated patterns. Behind him was a red cloak with the emblem of the heavenly sword printed on it. His face was very approachable, without any condescending feeling. However, all the LNG people present could feel the faint authority of this unknown existence, and they felt a little breathless just standing in front of her. When the LNG people were observing Binghua, an extraterrestrial visitor, Binghua was also observing the Elangi people whose appearance was quite different from the life forms in the Kamigawa body. The eyes of insight had been opened by Binghua, and the basic information of this planet was revealed. She is constantly collecting them. Soon, Binghua found the language system of the Ilungi people that he needed most, and spent a short time breaking it down, and learned the most basic communication terms. Are you residents of this planet? I am an angel passing by here. You can call me Binghua, or Angel Binghua. In order to express his goodwill, Binghua put away his weapons and took a few steps forward with bare hands to show that he had no ill intentions. However, the alien language he spoke was not very fluent because he was not used to its pronunciation. After seeing that Binghua could speak their language and was not hostile, the Ilongi people who were originally nervous couldn't help but relax. After looking at each other, the highest-ranking Ilongi people in the group stood up. Hello, respected strong man, I am Yeg, the leader of the UN clan. Thank you for destroying those extraterrestrial invaders and saving us and this world. The Ilongi man named Yeg kept his posture very low. He first thanked Binghua for his rescue, and then asked cautiously. Your Excellency Angel Binghua, I wonder if you have anything to ask after you landed here in our clan? As long as our clan knows something, I will definitely tell you everything. Although the actual meaning may differ due to different cultures, the translated meaning is roughly the same, but Binghua has a little doubt. Because Ilongi star is so abnormal, Binghua discovered it when he was in the sky. The social system of the Ilongi people is still in the extremely backward tribal era. They are distributed in every corner of the Ilongi star continent, although they have certain differences with each other. When communicating, they all call themselves clans. At the same time, the Ilongi people possess extremely powerful weapon manufacturing technology. Binghua scanned the unknown crystal materials widely distributed on the planet and found that there was an unknown energy contained inside. The Ilongi people can use the energy contained in these crystals to a certain extent to do things that would shock the jaws of scientists in the righteous world, just like the discovery of the Rendagang people. However, what the Ilongi can do is far better than that of the Rendagang people. They can use the energy in the crystals to form a defensive force field that can withstand energy weapons and kinetic energy weapons. Or activate the energy contained in the weapon polished by special crystals to make it extremely sharp, enough to destroy the light outer armor of the Eliminator mechanical warrior. Compared with Kamigawa's technology that follows the laws of real physics, the Elanki's technology can be said to be a bit magical. After a few conversations, Binghua was no longer afraid of Yeg. As a clan leader, Yeg was quite confident in his vision of others. Binghua's kind and humble conversational attitude greatly increased Yeager's inner good feelings, so he did not hide some things. This is of course due to Hyuka's attitude towards others, but it is also related to Hyuka's powerful power. Yeg is very self-aware of the technology possessed by the clan. Even if they were given more time, the Meteor clan would not be able to create a crystal weapon that was powerful enough to knock down the alien metal battleship. Binghua also figured out the basic working principle of the Elongji crystal weapon during the conversation with Yeg of the Meteor clan, and the doubts in his heart were answered. Elongji crystal is the name of this kind of crystal that is found all over Elongji star. It is also the name of the gods they believe in. Although the Elongji people have different clans, they have a common belief, which is the earth under their feet. They call it worship as a mother or as a deity. Just when Binghua picked up a piece of Elongji crystal given to her by the Yu clan, she tried to activate the energy in it according to the Elongji people's method. Yeg, who had just left, came back again. He came to the area where Binghua was with a pious look. He first used the etiquette of the Yuan clan to express that he was disturbed, and then solemnly said, "Dear Lord Angel Binghua, our God wants to talk to you. And let me tell you that the energy you possess is too powerful for our God to establish contact with you. Please temporarily collect the energy that escapes from your body. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 671. Binghua looked stunned. God, the God that the Elongji people believe in is not the land beneath their feet. Then who is the God that Yeg is talking about now? Then he became curious. You must know that the name God is not something that can be given this title. Even some guys who use the name of gods to swindle and deceive only dare to call themselves messengers of God or sons of God. Although he was curious, Binghua restrained the dark energy radiation that he unconsciously emitted and reduced the energy fluctuations in his body. In an instant, an unknown energy field with fluctuations very similar to the Elongji crystal enveloped Binghua, but its strength was very limited. Binghua could easily break free, so Binghua held back his subconscious counterattack. But when the energy was concentrated in the direction of her brain, Binghua made a sound. At the same time, the energy that tried to invade her brain was annihilated by Binghua's body's defense system. Although I don't know who you are, if you just want to communicate with me, you don't need to go to such trouble. Moreover, if you try to invade my mind without my consent, I will regard this as a malicious attack on your part." After saying the above words, Binghua's eyes lit up with a faint white light, and the golden sacred language was projected into the air, quickly arranged and combined with Binghua's control. More than a minute later, a special system integrating the unknown energy field of Elongji star has been written. Although it has no special function, it is enough to communicate with the god mentioned by Elongji. In fact, the principle is similar to the combination of a firewall and a transfer station, which can prevent direct enemy intrusion. However, it is impossible to make Binghua put down his guard. This is the most appropriate method at present. Okay, now you can connect to me. I have left a connection port for you. You should be able to feel it with your ability. After a moment, a neutral voice sounded in Binghua's communication channel. "Hello, powerful being, I am the consciousness of this planet, the Elongji planet you call me, and the only god that life on this planet believes in. Planetary consciousness. There are still existences like you in the universe. How were you born? Binghua was really surprised. She was well informed and had been to countless planets. She had encountered enough civilizations to build a database, but she had never heard of that planet having planetary consciousness. I don't know how I was born. When I had my own consciousness, I was already on this planet. I can control the weather of this planet, influence geological changes, watch my children be born, learn to make tools, and build my own culture. Now my children have been massacred by aliens. If you hadn't arrived suddenly and wiped out all the invaders, I would have been able to watch them being killed. I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to you for saving my children. There's no need to say thank you. I can't stand what the Eternal Ascended One does, so I just did it incidentally to save you. Binghua felt that the attitude of the planetary consciousness was quite friendly, and he was willing to continue the conversation with her. He also asked a lot of questions about the planetary consciousness, and finally understood the power of the planetary consciousness of Elongji. However, the result was a bit disappointing to Binghua. Although the planetary consciousness sounds very high-end and its abilities are also very powerful, it is not free from the constraints of physical laws after all. After Binghua's analysis and research, it was discovered that the planetary consciousness of Erenji is more like a planetary magnetic field with its own thinking ability than a living life. What he said can affect celestial phenomena and geological changes is also based on this. It cannot have a direct impact at all. It is all indirect impact, which often takes a long time. Otherwise, facing a planet-level opponent, a single purifier fleet would not be enough. At the very least, destroyer fortress or multiple purification fleets would have to be dispatched. On the other hand, Binghua speculates that the reason why the planetary consciousness was born on the LNG star must have a lot to do with the LNG crystal. The energy field emitted by this crystal is exactly the energy used by the planetary consciousness to connect to Binghua. Therefore, the birth of planetary consciousness should be a coincidence under special circumstances, which makes Binghua a little disappointed. If it knew how to create planetary consciousness, the righteous world would not need to allocate too much computing power to changes in the planetary environment. Because planetary consciousness is the best planetary manager, it can detect any changes in the planet, because the planet itself is like their body. After communicating with the planetary consciousness about her birth for a long time, Binghua asked a question, which was the goal of her trip, the angel group headed by male angels. When Binghua projected the image of a male angel in the air, Along Jixing's consciousness only thought for a moment before responding. I met them a long time ago, and I can't remember exactly when. I don't have a very specific feeling about the passage of time. Sometimes a long time will pass if I don't pay attention. I remember that there were not many of them at that time, only about a dozen. They left in a hurry shortly after arriving here. Binghua's heart perked up when he heard this. He finally got some news. Even if it was news from who knows how many years ago, it was enough, because it proved that male angels had indeed been active here. Binghua quickly asked for the detailed information of Elongji's planet consciousness, but he didn't get much. However, the male angel left in that direction of the universe, and Elongji's consciousness told Binghua. After Binghua got the direction of the male angel's departure, he did not intend to stay on Elongji for a long time. Sorry, if I have time in the future, I will come back here to talk to you more about how planets give birth to consciousness. Now it's time for me to continue on my journey. Binghua stood up from a piece of Elongji crystal ore and patted her skirt. Sir, are you leaving here now? I would like to beg you to stay for a while. I have a feeling that those extraterrestrial visitors will not stop here. Don't worry, I will leave the location information if the Eternal Ascended One attacks you again. Just move this thing, and my soldiers will come to help you when the time comes. Binghua stretched out his hand, and a metal object appeared that was slightly longer than his palm, with cold and hard lines engraved on the surface, and a triangular shape at the top and bottom. There was a gap in the middle, and the upper and lower ends could rotate relative to each other. This is the beacon of the gate of time and space. As long as it is activated, it will send a request for help to the God's throne world. At that time, a standard demigod battle group with a total of 5,000 people on standby will quickly enter the battlefield through the gate of time and space system to complete the deployment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 672. After explaining the function of the beacon, Binghua handed it over to the meteoric clan, and then after bidding farewell to the planetary consciousness of Ilonji, he directly spread his angel wings and flew towards the sky. As soon as he broke out of the atmosphere of Ilonji, Binghua contacted Tianjian, the management system of the world of justice. "Queen, why are you calling me?" Tianjian's voice was still so tepid, and it seemed that no matter what the situation, it could not cause obvious emotional fluctuations. However, compared with the synthetic voice of Tianjian when it was first upgraded to an intelligent life, now it has been spontaneously modified into a female voice with quite personal characteristics, which is already a great improvement. "If it's okay, can't I chat with you?" "Queen, please don't interrupt my work. I need to monitor the information of each star field in the entire justice world. Every computing power is precious. I don't have any extra computing power to have this kind of meaningless conversation with you." Tianjian's answer was meticulous and explained the logical relationships clearly, but Binghua didn't care. Flying in the universe was boring anyway, so he might as well take the opportunity to tease Tianjian. "This is not meaningless behavior. Don't you think your calculation logic has improved a lot by chatting with me? Now that you have learned to shirk, Tianjian, you have really changed a lot compared to when you were first born." Binghua's face was no longer as plain as when Ilongji was there, but showed a faint smile. As the former flagship of the Dark Plane supercomputer, Tianjian spent far more time with Binghua than other angels. Not long after the establishment of the Justice World, Binghua created a pseudo-personality for Tianjian's supercomputer, which is today's Tianjian. Although it is not yet able to have more obvious joys, angers, sorrows, and joys like normal creatures, it can. It is slowly transforming into a normal intelligent life. "Queen, please tell me the reason why you called me. If you continue like this, you will only waste precious computing resources." "Forget it, I'm not going to tease you anymore. Let's include the planet I was on in our star map, and let's tentatively name it the world of Ilonji. I will upload some information about this world directly into the database later. If they activate the beacon of the Gate of Time, remember to send a standard battle group to help them resist the Eternal Ascended Ones. Destruction-class battleships can be dispatched if necessary." "Yes, Queen, I will convey your order back to the military department of the God's throne world." When Binghua saw that Tianjian had lost its voice, he asked in reply, "Aren't you curious as to why I am willing to help them so easily?" "Queen, I am just an intelligent management system for the world of justice, not a strategic analysis system. I only need to follow your will." Binghua opened his hands to cover his face and said helplessly, "Tianjian, is it boring to chat like this? Can't you just be a little bit curious?" As Binghua spoke, he also made movements, using his thumb and index finger to express the so-called little meaning very vividly. "Queen, you yourself know that I am still a little bit far away from having curiosity, so you should know that a little bit and nothing are the same concept. So I don't understand why you would ask such a meaningless question." Binghua choked for a moment, then stopped continuing the topic, and his attitude returned to normal. Okay, let's skip this topic for now and tell the world of Makra that the Ilonji crystal on Ilonji star has high scientific research value. That special force field has good versatility and may bring some unexpected results, so be careful to protect the Ilonji planet and don't let them be destroyed by the Eternal Ascended One. I will put the matter of Ilonji on the to-be-handled list of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. After that, Binghua asked about some recent events in the world of justice, and Tianjian also reported them one by one. First of all, the chaos virus in Crowder's world has been eliminated. The planet's ecological environment is currently recovering and is expected to return to normal in 1 year. At the same time, the construction of the orbital defense system established by the Justice World around the world of Claude has also begun and is expected to be completed in a few years. Binghua nodded slightly to confirm. In fact, when Binghua was in the God's Throne world, in addition to the overall strategy and some major events that needed to be dealt with, things such as the normal operation of the Justice World were basically handed over to the Ministry of Internal Affairs and several of its ministers. Deal with. The overall situation of the Justice World is monitored macroscopically by Tianjian, so that whenever there are major mistakes, Binghua will be able to detect them. The Inquisition Council is responsible for supervising the Ministry of Internal Affairs, which has supervision departments led by inquisitors in each world to deal with government personnel who violate the laws of the just world. The Defense Force and elite legions are commanded by their respective legion commanders, who are directly managed by the Ministry of Military Affairs of the God's Throne world. Except for the original world, world leaders in other worlds only have second command priority. However, generally the God's Throne world will not interfere with the specific affairs of each world. Only when major events occur, the God's Throne world will uniformly mobilize the defense forces and elite legions of each world. Several days have passed since they left Ilongji, and Binghua still has no harvest. However, the planetary systems along the way have no traces of the wars they encountered before, and are full of vitality and greenery. Just when Ice Flower passed by a bare Earth-like planet, energy fluctuations suddenly appeared in the detection range, and then quickly approached her location. At the same time, a blazing white light spot also appeared in Binghua's sight. Binghua, which originally showed a straight flight trajectory, instantly moved to one side. Immediately, a blazing white beam with blue light passed by Binghua, and a terrifying crater dozens of meters high, glowing with fiery red fluid, was directly blasted out of the surface of the terrestrial planet behind. "Are you here for me?" Although doubts flashed through his mind, Binghua had determined that the attacker's target must be him, otherwise he would not have hit his flight path so accurately. And judging from the type of energy that was attacked just now, it was still the energy system of his old enemy, the Eternal Ascender, but it probably wasn't a large battleship, because it was impossible to move that fast at normal sailing speed. Only tens of seconds later, the unknown Eternal Sublimators who attacked Binghua appeared near Binghua, 6 of them in total. The whole body is made of unknown silver-gray alloy armor, and the torso is neither bloated nor slender, clearly referencing the skeleton system of Kamigawa creatures. The joints are covered with multiple sections of armor, which does not affect flexibility. The thick sword held in the hand is as thin as a cicada's wing, and the blazing white energy blade is stable without any fluctuations. The metal wings with light blue energy flames ejecting from the end behind them represent that they are technological creations. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 673. The most important thing is that Binghua recognized them. They were the mechanical warriors of the Eternal Ascender who had appeared in the world of Ilals and beheaded Chi, who was under the protection of his own soldiers. Although the appearance and weapons are slightly different, the design style is obviously the same, but it can be clearly felt that they are much more powerful than the mechanical warriors that appeared in the world of Ilals at that time. "King of Angels, please leave this star field that needs to be purified immediately." "What if I choose not to?" Binghua had almost been hit by a surprise attack before, and was preparing to have a good fight with these mechanical warriors to vent his anger. Unexpectedly, the first thing they said when they met was to ask him to leave. Is this possible? What's more, the relationship between the two parties is not good. Then we will expel you by force. After the mechanical warrior in the middle finished speaking this sentence in the cold electronic synthetic angelic language, he and the surrounding machines of the same type raised weapons similar to swords in their hands and spread out in all directions. Seeing that they were showing signs of taking action, Binghua reached out and carried out a flaming sword without showing any signs of weakness, intending to test their strength first. Almost at the moment Binghua took out his weapon, the mechanical warriors who had completed the siege rushed over together, slashing directly at Binghua with the weapon that looked like a big sword in his hand. Binghua flexibly dodged the energy swords that were slashed by the first 5 mechanical warriors left and right, using the inertia of flight. He found the right opportunity and kicked it, hitting the waist of the last flying mechanical warrior, knocking him out of the flying state. Kicked out. Then Binghua ignored the other 5 mechanical warriors, raised his sword and rushed towards the mechanical warrior who was kicked away by him, hitting his back with a vertical blow. But what made Binghuaji frown was that the ordinary slash of the flaming sword failed to cut it in half, but only left a deep slash mark on the surface of its armor. Although she did not try her best at the moment, it was enough. It was slashed with full force comparable to that of 3 generations of angels. The mechanical warrior who was attacked by Binghua also launched his own counter-attack at this time. Against the inertia of his joints, he swung his weapon in reverse direction and hit the flaming sword raised in Binghua's hand. The huge momentum allowed Binghua and the mechanical warrior to quickly separate in opposite directions, all of which was completed in the blink of an eye. As soon as Binghua stabilized his body that was flying backwards, a big sword with a blue light blade pierced directly from the side, but Binghua gently pushed it aside with the flaming sword. Then he quickly turned around and raised the flaming sword above his head, blocking the sword in the hand of another mechanical warrior who was slashing from behind. Since there was no relay point, all the kinetic energy of the weapon collision was exerted on Binghua, who was in a stationary state, causing her body to fall downwards involuntarily. A mechanical warrior had been waiting there for a long time. The wings on his back flipped from the shoulders to the chest, flashing with blazing white energy arcs, which were aimed at a distance below the falling ice flower. The advance amount has been calculated in the calculation core of the mechanical warrior, and the next moment is to fill the energy and then launch. The dazzling white beams of light converged from the middle of the 2 wings of the mechanical warrior, turned forward, and then spurted out. It was exactly the kind of attack that suddenly attacked Binghua from a distance in the first place. The energy contained in it is strong enough to reach the power of the ship's main gun. It is a real attack firepower against the ship. Now it is used to attack Binghua, an existence that is extremely small compared to the battleship. This energy beam started from the launched mechanical warrior and bombarded the surface of the nearby planet, stirring up large amounts of earth and rocks. After a few seconds, the beam dissipated, revealing the figure wrapped in white wings in the crater that was bombarded on the planet's surface. Binghua unfolded the overlapping angel wings in front of her, and her whole body was unscathed, as if being hit by the energy beam just now was just an illusion. The energy intensity is enough to pose a certain threat to the 3rd generation of angels, and the armor strength is enough to withstand the ordinary slashing of the flaming sword. It seems that the Eternal Ascended One has come up with some good things. Such thoughts flashed through Binghua's mind, and the 6 mechanical warriors located in the universe have regrouped together, watching Binghua's figure with the V-shaped multifunctional information collector on their face that emitted a faint light. While Binghua was collecting their combat data, they were also collecting Binghua's combat data at the same time, including a series of information about his body strength, energy strength, attack methods, etc. According to the data that has been obtained, the opponent's physical strength and the capabilities of their 6 purifier-level mechanical warriors cannot break through the defense, and they need more support. And this message was quickly transmitted to the Eternal Ascended's host, Semialo, through the Eternal Ascending One's intergalactic communication method. After re-evaluating the strength of Binghua, the Angel King, Semialo's host immediately activated a higher-level mechanical warrior, codenamed Destroyer 102. It was the first trial model other than the prototype Destroyer 101. It consumed a lot of computing resources of the Seminary host to complete the design and production. Compared with its brothers, the Destroyer Zero sequence is comparable in size to a small planet. The Destroyer 102 is specially designed to fight against individual enemy units with high combat effectiveness. Therefore, his height is only less than 2 meters, but the technical level of various weapons and modules on his body is not inferior to that of his brothers at all. It is better to say that he is slightly superior in some places. As Destroyer 102's face lit up with a subtle blue light, the purification core energy reactor in its chest was successfully activated, and then the mimic personality and combat logic began to be input. And while Samilo was tinkering with its new toy, the battlefield where Binghua was on the other side also changed dramatically. When the battle data was almost collected, Binghua stopped holding back. The 6 mechanical warriors who had been fighting fiercely with her before fell into an absolute disadvantage in the blink of an eye. Binghua didn't even use any tactics. He only relied on the brute force brought by his divine body to easily hold up the heavy sword of the mechanical warrior. Then the mechanical warrior repeated his old trick, and other mechanical warriors held her back. The last mechanical warrior gathered energy and prepared to do it again. But Binghua just wanted to find out their attack strength, otherwise he wouldn't be hit so easily. When Binghua deflected the attack and was about to launch one side of the energy beam, Binghua stretched out her hand and grabbed the mechanical warrior who was fighting with her in front, trying to distance herself, and pulled hard behind her. Binghua herself was like a bird with broken wings, losing the ability to fly and flipping downward several times, just in time to avoid the attack, but the mechanical warrior she pulled over was not so lucky. His face was covered by the attack fired by his companion who flipped his wings and charged up. After the attack dissipated, only half of his body was left, and the wound was directly melted into high-temperature fluid by the energy flow. Binghua returned to the normal state from the downward flipping state, turned his back to the surface of the planet, flapped his wings and hovered there, speaking to the mechanical warrior. The coordination is too stiff, which is okay for novices. And just because you still want to expel me, the configuration is a bit poor. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 674. Facing Binghua's contempt, the mechanical warriors had no reaction. They regrouped and divided into several directions to attack at the same time, and they cooperated from both distance and distance. Seeing this, Binghua lost interest in continuing to speak. The white wings on his back quickly flapped, and his body pulled out an afterimage in the cosmic space, avoiding several purification rays fired from it. Then the flaming sword in his hand burst into a dazzling fiery red, met the energy blade slashed by the mechanical warrior, and exploded with dazzling torrents of scattered energy. After a moment of stalemate, Binghua exerted force again and directly shook the energy blade away. Then he turned around and kicked it away. At the same time, he also floated backwards due to the reaction force. Just at this time, a blazing white beam of light passed in front of Binghua. Its intention was self-evident, which was to inflict trauma on Binghua while he was entangled by his companions. And Binghua didn't mean to stay where she was. In space, her physical advantage was not as obvious as the gravity in the atmosphere, otherwise Binghua would have dismantled them into parts. However, after wandering in the universe for so long, she finally encountered a few things that could fight with her. Binghua had no intention of quickly resolving the battle, otherwise these mechanical warriors would be gone with full firepower. A few minutes later, Binghua circled the Earth-like planet several times with several tails behind him, then suddenly flipped backwards and rushed toward them. The two sides passed each other, and the fiery red flame sword cut through the body of one of the mechanical warriors, breaking through its surface armor, leaving a red-hot wound that almost split it in half. At this time, there were still 4 combat-capable mechanical warriors left, but Binghua was still unscathed and continued to lead them in circles. On the one hand, Binghua is not in a hurry to leave here, but on the other hand, she is a bold artist who wants to see if the Eternal Sublimator has any other trump cards so that she can target him when she returns to the Justice World in the future. Deployment. When half an hour passed, only one of the mechanical warriors following Binghua was left, and the other 3 were destroyed unexpectedly by Binghua during this period. This further proves Binghua's idea that machines are machines after all, and combat AI has its own logic. As long as you find its weak points, you can easily destroy them like a bug. It is obvious that these purifier-level mechanical warriors do not have personalities that can learn independently, and only have the most basic computing logic and intelligence. And the most important thing is that Binghua already feels that he has left the Eternal Ascended Ones long enough. Since they have not sent any more reinforcements, it means that they have no combat troops nearby. In this case, Binghua didn't want to waste any more time. He turned around to face the last mechanical warrior following him, and in an instant, he launched several flaming slashes that were several meters long, sealing off all the space around him. After that, they quickly faced the rushing mechanical warriors. The weapons in the hands of both sides collided in the cosmic space, causing a scattered energy aftermath. After a moment of stalemate, the boost provided by Binghua's wings directly overwhelmed the thrust provided by the mechanical warrior's flying wings, pushing his body backwards for a short distance. Binghua raised his leg and kicked him hard in the chest, then accelerated twice to catch up. The flaming sword suddenly thrust forward, and the fiery red sword tip easily broke through the chest armor of the mechanical warrior and sank into the core components behind it. After struggling twice, the halo on the face of the mechanical warrior finally dimmed and stopped running. Binghua pulled out the flaming sword and retreated to clean the battlefield. Binghua was quite interested in the remains of the Eternal Ascended's mechanical warriors. There is a big difference between the Kamigawa technology system and the Eternal Ascender. The two are not going in the same direction, but they have one thing in common, which is the application of energy and materials. However, the mechanical engineering of the Eternal Ascenders is more advanced, and the Kamigawa system has also conducted more thorough research on dark energy, and has been making rapid progress. The development philosophies of the two are also different. Compared with the Eternal Ascensioner, which focuses on the balance between production efficiency and performance, the Kamigawa system has embarked on the path of returning great power to itself, and is out of control. However, in recent thousands of years of constant contact with the Eternal Sublimators, Binghua discovered that the Eternal Sublimator seemed to have gradually embarked on this path. The mechanical warriors he had fought against before were proof that these cold metal technological creations, apart from not being able to apply energy-driven technology, were already comparable to second and third generation angel warriors in general performance. Binghua collected the bodies of mechanical warriors with the idea of reverse research, and reversed the technology used by the Eternal Ascended from the wreckage, thereby enhancing the mechanical engineering technology level of the Justice World and the Angels. It would be better if the Justice World mastered the technology to mass-produce mechanical warriors of this level. Nearly an hour after Binghua finished cleaning up the battlefield, a shuttle-shaped device suddenly appeared on the outskirts of the planetary system and quickly flew to the vicinity of the Earth-like planet where Binghua and the mechanical warriors fought. After successfully arriving at the battlefield, the fusiform device violently decomposed into several small armor pieces and cracked open, revealing a silver figure inside. It is the Destroyer number 102 experimental machine arranged by the Seminary host to support the mechanical warriors. Compared with the lower-level purifier-level mechanical warriors, he has an appearance that is similar to the Kamigawa creature at a higher level. Its face has two prism-shaped multifunctional information collection devices that glow with orange light similar to the eyes. The mouth and nose are equipped with a smooth metal mask. The body is also more slender, and the outer armor has become lighter. The back adopts the mechanical flying wing design that is customary for mechanical warriors. The shape is more like wings. When folded, it looks like two giant swords hanging on the back. We are scanning and analyzing the battlefield situation. We have not found the wreckage or information of the other 6 Purifier-class airframes numbered 19-234. We request the host to provide next instructions. Destroyer 102 was suspended there quietly, like a sculpture, waiting for the next command from the Seminary host. Destroyer 102, the target has gone to positions 156-374-254 on the star map, and now you are assigned a pursuit mission. Target, King of Angels. Race, Kamigawa creature. Combat assessment, extremely dangerous. After receiving the mission from the Seminary host, Destroyer 101 finally no longer stood still like a sculpture. Adjusting its body in the direction of the positioning information, Destroyer 102's back was like the wings of two giant swords, slightly unfolding, and then imperceptible light blue energy spurted out from the tips of the wings, pushing it to fly forward at a constant speed. Speeding up, it turned into a small dot in the blink of an eye and disappeared into this planetary system. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 675. Have you seen them? Binghua stood in front of a group of intelligent beings with hunched bodies, whose faces and body skin were like dried tree bark, and whose bodies were only surrounded by rags and animal skins. They could be called humans for the time being, and asked them for news about the male angels. In fact, Binghua had already read the planet's information before finding this unknown group of intelligent life forms living in the cave. However, because the native intelligent life on this planet has not yet given birth to its own civilization, Binghua doesn't know what to call them. The reason why we wanted to ask them about the whereabouts of the male angel was because if the male angel had appeared here, he would most likely become an omnipotent god in the eyes of this group of native intelligent beings. However, after questioning for a long time, the group of people living in the cave just looked at the projection, and then pointed at Binghua, who was chattering without knowing what he was talking about. He couldn't say any systematic language at all. Binghua covered his face when he saw this, cursing himself for his stupidity. Thinking of Binghua, he stopped thinking about getting any news from them. He carried out some of the most basic metal tools, knives, and the like, as a reward for them. Binghua turned around and spread his wings on his back and flew directly into the sky. The cavemen below who were picking up metal tools saw that Binghua could fly, and they quickly knelt down in the direction where Binghua left in fear. The caveman who grabbed the metal tools, is to hold the things in your arms tightly for fear that others will take them away. In the universe, Binghua looked back at the Earth-yellow planet that had been left behind, and entered it into the database. Binghua left the Justice World this time to search for traces of the male angel. On the one hand, he wanted to strengthen the power of the Justice World. On the other hand, he also wanted to expand the currently known star map and light up the unknown star fields around the Justice World. During this period of journey, Binghua witnessed many mysterious and novel scenery in the universe, colorful ecological environment, and intelligent life with different postures. Her dream has come true. War and killing have not become everything in Binghua's life. Now Binghua has her own career and goals. Purifying Star Field, this is the collective name for the star field by the eternal sublimators. The reason why it is called so is because there is a resistance force in this star field that the eternal sublimators cannot eliminate in a short time, so it needs to be purified. Even if the eternal ascended ones continue to send fleets to encircle and suppress them, they will not be able to effectively eliminate those rats that have the ability to survive in space, but it will make them exhausted and unable to continue to grow. This situation has been going on for thousands of years, but recently, an existence that was marked as extremely dangerous even in the evaluation system of the Eternal Ascender crossed the blockade and broke into this place. For this reason, Seminary sent the latest model of the experimental machine Destroyer 102 to intercept the Eternal Ascended Host. The purpose behind this was to prevent the two parties from contacting each other. Not long after Binghua left the caveman's planet, Destroyer 102 also followed, but missed the target and fell one step behind again. Instead of getting shorter as time passed, the distance between the two grew further and further away. Destroyer 102 hesitated for a moment, and finally sent a request to the Seminary host to report his current situation. Seminary immediately responded to the message and sent a new coordinate point, and the mission was changed from pursuit to annihilation. Destroyer 102 didn't have any objections to this. After changing direction, it stopped being the tail behind Binghua's butt and flew directly in the other direction. Cartel Planet. This is the name given to the planet that is still in a primitive ecological environment under the feet of the angels who live here temporarily. The reason why it is a temporary residence is because the angels on this planet may be affected by various reasons at any time. Transferred due to reasons. Kaza is the leader elected by the angels of this planet. He manages this small angel settlement. The reason why he is like this is because he has no choice but to do so. Although Kaza is the leader of the settlement, he is a new generation of male angels. More than 2,000 years ago, when he was still ignorant, he once heard his father talk about the glory of male angels. The angels in my father's words possess superb technology, covering an entire territory as large as a nebula, and all surrounding civilizations surrender under the feet of the angels. At that time, their angels were gods, and no one dared to disobey, until some cruel female angels named Kesha, Binghua, and others appeared. They hate all male angels and often take pleasure in killing us, especially the female angel named Binghua. Tens of thousands of male angels have died in her hands. She is a complete god of murder. The entire angel nebula became chaotic because of their appearance, with war and death everywhere, and the once powerful angel civilization fell apart. In order to avoid Binghua, the terrifying god of death, our king, Tianzhan Wang Huaning, led us to escape from the chaotic angel nebula and came to this unknown land to start a new life. This is what Kaza knows about the origins of their angels, and what happened after that. As a witness and the information he got from the mouths of other older generation angels, Kaza also has a more detailed concept in his mind. After Tianzhan Wang Huaning led them to settle down in this vast star field, they began to recuperate, but soon they encountered a huge change. An unknown mysterious virus began to spread among the angels at the bottom. The infected angels would only become weak, and they did not receive enough attention at first. Even the King of Heavenly War only thought that he had been affected by unknown energy radiation and did not think about the virus, because the angel's body was not actually a pure body of flesh and blood, and had long been freed from the troubles of the disease. As a result, it was not until the infected lower-level angels turned into monsters and drew swords against their former companions that Tianzhan Wang Huaning realized the seriousness of the situation. The virus spread extremely quickly, and for some other reasons, in the end Tianzhan Wang Huaning had no choice but to abandon the home he had finally built and lead the angels who were not infected with the virus to leave to find another safe and stable place to live. But as the saying goes, the house is leaking but it rains all night, and the boat is broken and there is a strong wind. After finally getting rid of the threat of the virus, we encountered a group of intelligent mechanical lunatics who were unable to communicate. They attacked us as soon as they met, and then they continued to hunt and encircle us. Even the King of Heavenly War unfortunately fell under the siege of those intelligent machines. The last remaining angels had no choice but to be broken into pieces, using bodies that could survive in the universe, frequent transfers, and the angels' unique shielding technology, so the remaining angels survived. During this period, the battle between the male angels and the intelligent mechanical lunatics never ended, and Kaza's father unfortunately died in the battle to cover the transfer of him, his mother and other members of his race. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 676. Since that time, the Tianzhan dynasty has fallen apart. The original nearly 1 million angel tribe has been scattered across the stars, turning into large and small settlements, avoiding the constant encirclement and suppression of intelligent machines. Thanks to the unique ability of angels to travel through the stars without using a spaceship, it is not difficult to avoid the encirclement and suppression of intelligent machines. For thousands of years, there were angels who tried to gather angels from all settlements, rebuild the heavenly war dynasty, and confront intelligent machines head-on. However, under the constant attack and suppression of intelligent machines, they all turned into dust in the universe. Fortunately, in the past 1,000 years, the activity frequency of intelligent machines has dropped significantly, and it is no longer as aggressive as before. Uncle Kaza, you are in a daze here again. If Sister Karina finds out, she will definitely lecture you again. Kaza's thoughts recalling the history of angels in the past were interrupted by the sudden appearance of a girl's voice, and his thoughts returned to the reality of the cartel planet. He lowered his head and saw an old acquaintance of his, a girl who was only as tall as his abdomen, with brilliant blonde hair. A childish little female angel. Navi looked at Kaza, who looked a little embarrassed. This was the 15th time she had caught Uncle Kaza hiding here and being lazy. Kaza's embarrassment only lasted for a moment. He squatted down and reached out to touch Navi's little head. Navi immediately dodged to the side, but in the end, the sinful big hand landed on her head accurately and rubbed it. Navi, be good, don't tell your sister Karina, I'm here thinking about the future of the settlement, I'm not being lazy. After saying that, Kaza stood up with a smile, walked a few steps towards the busy settlement, spread his wings and flew into the sky, leaving only his messy hair and bulging cheeks that read "I'm very angry" in place. When Navi saw Kaza flying away alone, she ignored her anger and shouted anxiously at Kaza's back as he flew away, "Uncle Kaza, don't leave me. I can't fly yet." Kaza flew over the settlement, nodded to the patrolling angel team flying over, then landed on the flat stone platform in the center of the settlement, and walked towards a large palace in front of him. As soon as he entered, a helpless but gentle female voice came into Kaza's ears. Kaza paused, looked towards the open door of a room in the palace hall with a smile on his face, and looked towards it. "Go in the direction where you are. You're back, please take a look at the report sent back by our resource collection team recently. And as the leader of the settlement, you should stay here to deal with various problems, but you actually went outside to be in a daze." Seeing what Kaza was about to say, Karina interrupted directly. "No need to quibble, Navi has already told me. How many times has this happened? I can't even remember. Our current situation is not good. Kaza, you have to shoulder your responsibilities as the leader of the settlement. Don't be so immoral, okay?" Although Karina spoke in a gentle tone, her words were like sharp knives piercing Kaza's body, making him feel uncomfortable for a while. "Sister, you have said these words countless times. I can become the leader of the settlement because I am strong enough. Those intelligent mechanical super soldiers are no match for me. That's why everyone in the settlement asked me to be this leader. In fact, apart from this name, I am still me. I am not good at dealing with these daily chores. I just need to become stronger, strong enough to fight against intelligent machines." Under Karina's words, Kaza spoke his mind. This is also true. Today's angel settlement has a declining talent pool. Kaza is one of the few third-generation angel warriors in the settlement, and he is also the one with the most outstanding fighting talent. Otherwise, there is no way to overpower several older generation angels to become the leaders of the settlement. The rules of today's settlements are very simple. The allocation of competence to superiors and subordinates all depends on who can fight better, because only in this way can everyone lead everyone to break out when the intelligent machines encircle and suppress them. Just as the siblings were arguing, a patrol of angel warriors panicked and landed at the palace door, quickly ran in and shouted in Kaza's direction. Kaza is in trouble. Something has attacked our security team on the outskirts of the planetary system. We have lost contact with them. It is very likely that intelligent machines have come to this planetary system. Destroyer 102 stepped on a scarred female angel warrior. The black square muzzle was pointed at the female angel with a look of hatred on her face. The next moment, the blazing beam penetrated her chest and sank into the ground, creating a fist-sized hole. Scanning, there are no surviving targets, the annihilation mission is in progress, the target Kamigawa body habitat, mission progress, not completed. This column of prompt information appeared in Destroyer 102's line of sight, and the Carter star where the angels gathered in the planet system was marked. The next moment, Destroyer 102's back wings spread slightly and flew quickly towards the location of the angel colony. At this moment, on the cartel planet, the angels living here have packed up important resources and equipment, preparing for transfer, and Kaza has also replaced his armored stomach. The silver armor protects the important parts of the torso, including handguards, boots, skirts, etc. It uses the technology of the Tianzhan dynasty. So far, it has been difficult to produce it in various settlements and can only be repaired. Just as Kaza, Karina, and the management of other settlements were nervously arranging the transfer work, planning to take advantage of the Eternal Ascended One's arrival at the outer reaches of the planetary system so as to leave the cartel star, a blazing energy ray fell from the sky and hit the center. The palace in the center of the settlement. The next moment, a terrifying high-temperature explosion spread, and the shock wave turned the entire settlement into chaos. The survivors who had originally gathered near the palace square were thrown into chaos. Kaza, however, did not evacuate the ordinary angels with his sister Karina, but stared solemnly at the sky above a figure he had never seen before. "Sister, take everyone away first. I'll go meet this guy." After finishing speaking, before Karina could say anything, Kaza and several older angel warriors from the settlement spread their wings and stood up from the ground towards the figure in the sky. The multifunctional information collection system of Destroyer 102 Eyes immediately captured the movements of Kaza and several other angels and completed the lock. Immediately, the back of Destroyer 102 was like the thick wings of two giant swords, suddenly spread out like real wings, and the connected parts in the middle were pieces of fusiform metal objects as big as palms and like feathers. Immediately, these palm-sized objects quickly separated from the outstretched wings, and their roots sprayed faint flames outward, flying towards the direction of Kaza below. Kaza and other angels saw a group of micro-flying objects coming, and they prepared to avoid it without thinking. But the next moment, the micro-flying objects suddenly shot out blazing white beams, and connected with each other to form a chain in mid-air. A web of death formed by countless rays of light. Then bursts of light bursting with energy shone in mid-air, and Kaza and several other angels immediately fell to the ground. And those micro-flying objects, after doing all this, returned to Destroyer 102, began to combine into several large sword-shaped flying objects more than 1 meter long, and then aimed at the ground and began to store energy. Then nearly 10 blazing beams of light fell, and the angel settlement below was reduced to ashes in the boiling fire, while Karina and other angels could only watch the scene happen. Karina gritted her teeth and shouted to the angels behind her, "Everyone, run quickly, disperse and leave the cartel planet. Meet at the meeting point." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 677. Binghua was lying on an asteroid wandering in the universe, with his hands behind his head and his mouth humming a tune that only he could understand, admiring all the scenery in sight. No matter how many times I have seen this vast starry sky, Binghua will never get tired of it. The stars that circle around the stars over and over again, the colorful nebulae in different postures, and the river of light that spans the starry sky like an aurora. They are all stunning views that ordinary beings cannot appreciate in their lifetime. Binghua is resting at the moment. No matter how strong her spirit is, she will still feel a little tired during the long flight. Fortunately, she has recently found a new way to pass the time and rest. That is to find an asteroid floating in the universe, lie on it, and drift forward with the asteroid. Although the speed is a bit slow, at least you don't have to work hard to fly. After an unknown amount of time, the asteroid Binghua was lying on was captured by a planetary system and moved rapidly towards its interior. Binghua also felt that it was time to leave the asteroid beneath him, otherwise he would be injured if he hit something. All in gray. Binghua's pupils suddenly tightened when she opened her eyes. As the asteroid rolled, a broken small spaceship appeared in her sight. Of course, these alone cannot attract Binghua's attention. What makes him don't know whether to be happy or sad is that the corpses of angels with white wings fluttering helplessly and eyes closed are floating feebly around the wreckage of the spacecraft. He turned over and stood up, then kicked off the asteroid Binghua and headed straight towards the destroyed spaceship. Soon Binghua came to a floating angel and reached out to turn it over. From the short blonde hair, the slightly open mouth, and the vague fear that had not dissipated in the blue eyes that had not yet closed, we could draw a clear conclusion that he died of fear and panic. Binghua's heart could not be said to be too sad at the moment, but she couldn't be happy at all. After all, the people who died in front of her were all of her own race. An inexplicable emotion filled her heart. After checking the remains of several angels, Binghua used dark information to roughly read the recent information in the star field, but he didn't gain much. All we know is that a powerful energy weapon destroyed the small carrier spacecraft. Some of the angel residents inside were injured and died by the explosion, and some were killed by snipers from a distance. As for the sniper's position, Binghua could not immediately read it through dark information, because the workload was too large and required repeated calculations and on-site reading and investigation. And even if the murderer is investigated, there is no point. The spaceship has been destroyed, and all the angels that can be found have fallen. Even if Binghua kills the murderer, he cannot save them. It seems that angels live in several nearby planetary systems, hoping to meet some survivors. After roughly checking the angel remains around him, this idea flashed through Binghua's mind, and he immediately began to scan the entire broken spacecraft for final dark information to see if there was anything missing. After a while, the structure of the entire spaceship and detailed information gradually emerged in Binghua's mind. Slowly, Binghua's eyebrows wrinkled slightly because a missing area appeared in the structure diagram of the spacecraft. Binghua then mobilized the wings behind him to enter the damaged spacecraft, preparing to see what could block the scanning of the Angel Eye of Insight algorithm. "Sister Karina, I'm scared." Navi huddled in Karina's arms, her little face full of fear, and she hugged the warm embrace that was close at hand, seeking that little bit of security. "Don't be afraid, sister will protect you. This is a small cabin, and except for the faint red light emitted by the emergency alarm light, there is no other light." Although Karina was not as scared as Navi, her face was full of solemnity, and she kept praying in her heart that the intelligent machine must not discover this hidden isolation cabin. The reason why she and Navi were hiding here was because Karina, as the management of the colony and having some knowledge of technology, knew that there was a small isolation room on the spacecraft specially prepared for carrying special resources. Cabin. It can prevent any energy and information inside from leaking out, and it can also prevent anything from detecting what's inside. It's the same technical principle used by angels to block the detection of the Eternal Ascended One. So after being attacked, Karina knew that she and all the angel warriors on the ship would not be able to match the incredibly powerful intelligent machine. Because on Carter Planet, Kaza and the patrol team he led, the angel warrior squad, were easily defeated and massacred. If it weren't for Kazaa's desperate cover, Karina and the other angel tribesmen would not be able to escape from Carter Planet. However, not long after they left the Carter planetary system, they were chased by the intelligent machine, which destroyed and paralyzed the carrier spacecraft capable of traveling through the star sea with just one blow. At the last moment, Karina locked Navi and herself in here, and then completely calmed down after several violent vibrations and shaking. Karina knows very well that everyone outside has probably been killed, and the only thing she can do is hide here and pray. Isn't it ironic? I remember that in my father's words, in the long past, angels were gods in the eyes of mortals in the angel nebula, but now God is also praying to God that he can survive. The gods of mortals are angels, so what is the God of angels? Suddenly, the cabin shook and began to flip up. Karina's thoughts were interrupted, and her heart was in her throat. She quickly stretched out her right hand to hold the cross sword beside her, and hugged Navi's left arm tightly. When the cabin shook, Navi's body trembled slightly, and then she buried her head deeply in Karina's arms, not daring to look outside. The slightly trembling body expressed her inner fear. Then the shaking stopped, but Karina and Navi were in deep torment. Suddenly, a silver blade tip penetrated the hatch, startling them. The tip of the blade that penetrated the hatch began to move and cut the hatch. The owner of the weapon seemed to want to open the isolation cabin. Karina whispered to Navi. "Don't be afraid for a while. Sister, as long as I am alive, I will protect you until the last moment." After saying that, Karina picked up the weapon and came to the hatch. She raised her legs and thought for a moment. Seeing that the person on the other side of the door was still cutting the hatch with a weapon, she kicked the metal hatch violently. In an instant, the hatch made of special metal was slightly deformed and flew forward after being kicked by Karina. Karina aimed at the figure behind the door and stabbed out with a quick and accurate sword. But something happened that shocked Karina the next moment. A figure appeared behind the door and stretched out his palm to grasp the blade of the cross sword she had thrust out. Then a silver sword appeared around her neck. Heavy sword. The sharp edge made Karina feel palpitations. It seemed that this ordinary silver heavy sword could easily break through the defense of her body and kill her with one blow. Although I know you may just be subconsciously fighting to the death, but before attacking, please see clearly whether I am your enemy. Only then did Karina hear a slightly cold and plain female voice, forcibly inserted into the communication channel between her and Navi. Then she realized that she had made a mistake. Only then did he take a closer look at the figure close at hand. His long black hair was hanging down on his chest and behind his back. His gorgeous silver armor and the cloak behind him made him look extremely noble. What attracted Karina the most was the pair of dark eyes with a hint of sharpness, paired with the right pair of thin eyebrows, giving her a heroic temperament. At the same time, a faint sense of prestige emanated from her body, coupled with a strong sense of presence, as if she was the center of the world just standing there. This figure was none other than someone who entered the spacecraft, looking for the ice flower that could block her from scanning and detecting things. In the end, she actually encountered an unexpected surprise: 2 angel survivors. Now she finally no longer has to wander around in this star field. Sometimes having a guide who knows the local situation is more useful than any collected intelligence. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 678. Several hours have passed since Binghua discovered Karina and Navi. Binghua led them to the nearest living planet for training. Although angels can survive in the universe, that feeling is not comfortable for a generation of angels. As a warrior, Karina may be fine, but for the young Navi, it is not a small burden. It's really strange that you encountered the Eternal Ascended One, a special type of elite individual. However, you can't find anyone in your entire settlement who can fight against it. It seems that your life has not been very good since you left the Angel Nebula. After listening to Karina's story, Binghua was a little bit sad, and also felt a little confused. He had just dismantled 6 Eternal Ascension mechanical warriors that were obviously not low in level not long ago. Since the other party had the ability to easily crush the 3rd generation, why weren't the elite angels sent to deal with him? In response to Binghua's words, Karina and Navi sat silently on the grass. They were not familiar with this person who was suspected to be of their own race, so they were a little cautious. And judging from the casual and even relaxed tone that didn't care about the eternal sublimator, the intelligent machine they recognized, it was obvious that the being named Binghua was not afraid of the eternal sublimator. And Karina always felt that the name Binghua was very familiar, as if she had heard it somewhere, but she couldn't remember it for a while. It was a bit difficult for Binghua to see Karina and Navi's reserved look. She also wanted to establish a good relationship with them and let Karina take her to find the angel settlement. After thinking about it for a while, Binghua finally came up with a solution. She spoke out and said to Karina, "I just told you my name before, but I haven't told you my origin yet. I come from the Merlot heavens of the Angel Nebula in the known universe, and am now on a post-retirement relaxing tour of the star field, that's it. And just like you, I am also an angel." As she spoke, Binghua waved her hand and said hello to Navi, who was secretly looking at her. Navi's reaction was also very interesting. She hid behind Karina like a kitten and poked her head out from time to time. Take a look at Binghua. After Karina heard Binghua admit that she was also an angel and came from the Angel Nebula, she finally breathed a sigh of relief and let go of her last vigilance, because she knew about the Angel Nebula, and her father and the older generation angels all left to avoid the war. I heard my father talk about the Angel Nebula. It was because of the War King that he led them out of there. Is there still a war there now? Binghua smiled dumbly when she heard this. Through Karina's few words, she had basically understood the origin of Karina's angel group. The war you mentioned ended more than 10,000 years ago. Today's angelic civilization has gone through a long period of development and has become one of the most powerful civilizations in the known universe. It has established a righteous order and leads the entire known universe. Karina's eyes widened slightly after hearing this. This was beyond her expectation. You must know that the angels are like mice here and can only hide. The hometown that their ancestors fled is in this place named Binghua. From the mouth of the angel, it was so powerful. I told you my origin, can you tell me about your history? What happened to you after you left the Angel Nebula? With a complex look on her face, Karina began to talk about what happened to the Heavenly War King after he came to the Sea of Stars. After listening to this, Binghua had to sigh that the luck of the Heavenly War King Huaning was not just carried on his back, it was carried home. In comparison, the hardships he encountered after establishing a just world were nothing to mention, but after sighing, he felt depressed and irritated. Previously in the known universe, ever since Binghua led the Sky Sword Legion to destroy the Eternal Ascended destroyer-level planetary fortress, the Eternal Ascended had never sent a large-scale fleet into the known universe and the Angel Nebula. Binghua originally thought that the Eternal Ascended One was afraid of them and was wary of the Angel's fighting ability, but he didn't expect that he would actually fight against the Angel here. Thinking of this ice flower, she couldn't help but have the idea of getting into trouble with the Eternal Ascended Ones. Even if these angels left the Angel Nebula, they would still be angels after all. She couldn't control the civil war among angels, but bullying other civilizations against angels was another concept. After some exchanges, Binghua, Karina, and Navi finally got closer to each other, and they were finally no longer so reserved in front of Binghua. At the same time, out of trust in the identity of the Ice Flower Angel, Karina also told the story of the meeting point. This was also a helpless move, because without the jump voyage of the spaceship, Karina and Navi flew with wings alone. It will take at least several months to arrive. Another reason is that Karina is concerned about the situation of her brother Kaza and is eager to rush to the meeting point to get news about him, but she has already prepared for the worst in her heart. Binghua originally wanted to fly there directly, but after asking, he found out that Karina did not have the technology to fly at the speed of light. Her angel wings algorithm was still the oldest one, and many of the technologies and algorithms had been popularized by MaleProtagonist. Karina has neither. And even if Binghua wanted to teach her, Karina wouldn't be able to learn it in a short time because she doesn't know the sacred language, and most of MaleProtagonist's technologies are based on the sacred language. In addition, there is also a little angel Navi, and in the end Binghua can only contact Tianjian and ask her to use the gate system of time and space to deliver a miniature warship. When Binghua led Karina and Navi to the universe, the gate of time and space spanned an unknown number of light years and connected the 2 points of space, transporting a miniature high-speed ship with a length of more than 10 meters. Navi just thought that Binghua was so powerful, but Karina, who had a certain level of technical knowledge, was extremely shocked. This level of technology was no longer within her understanding, it was simply magical. Binghua didn't pay much attention to it. As for using the super weapon of the Justice World just to teleport a miniature battleship, it was just a question of whether he was willing or not. And the officials of Justice World will not have any objections. It can be said that the entire framework of Justice World is built by Binghua. In addition, Binghua has no bad habits and unique acting style. In the eyes of the high-level officials and people of Justice World, there has never been a greater leader than her. On the other side, after the miniature high-speed battleship was delivered, Binghua didn't say much nonsense. After letting Karina and Navi enter, he started the battleship and then directly entered the jump navigation mode. The target was exactly what Karina provided. The coordinates of the meeting point. Compared to Karina, who was worried about her brother Kaza's condition, and the little angel Navi, who was overjoyed to see her compatriots in the settlement, Binghua's thoughts were much simpler. Introduce this group of compatriots who live a rough life in this star field to the sphere of influence of the Justice World, and get rid of this kind of life that has been avoiding transfer. And the angelic civilization will surely reappear in this starry sky, once again become the founder of order, and will always stand firm in this dangerous sea of stars.